Okay guys, we've got a nice hefty 100,000 souls nearly, so let's waste them and go farm. Because farming is cool, right kids? It's not cool? Damn it! They lied to me. So, we've got some crazy endurance, but I still can't do the fast roll. You might be wondering, what farming? We need to get a certain mask. What the fuck? Why doesn't it say Tomb of the Giants? Did I not rest at it? Ugh. That's mad annoying. We're gonna have to do the catacomb waltz again. Fuck. Maybe we can walk from here into it. No, I don't want to kindle. Fuck you. No, we've got the Altar of the Gravelord, but not the one we want. I must not have sat at it because I'm a stupid idiot. This has been a playthrough of mistakes and idiocy, so why stop now? And I'm running into a wall. But it's still fun, you know. We're doing this to tease and keep our anticipations at bay until the third game in this fantastic series arrives. And I suppose it should bring us to the conversation that we'll inevitably have about being burnt out and the codification of the Souls games, which I think such a reference is very insulting at this point. And I see it a lot. I see it on forums, I see it on achievement sites, I see it on trophy sites. I see it in places where I'm checking for news for certain things. This constant argument of people comparing the Souls games to the RPG equivalent of COD. And I think that it's kind of rude in some regards. There's some aspects of it you can agree with. I think that as far as action RPGs goes, Dark Souls is the paragon of those systems. It is the game that does it the best, for me, personally. This is not true for everybody, of course. That's why we've got these things called tastes. And everyone's are different, some are shared, and that's why you can get some pretty decent friendships. I'm about to get fucked because I didn't roll. Mashing the button doesn't roll. Love it! My favourite aspect of being a legend. There we go. The fall damage on this game is... you know about it. It brings its friends to remind you. Didn't even touch him, poor bugger. He got cheesed. He's parrying, so let's let him do that. But in one regard, I can see what the point they're trying to make, and the point they're also trying to make is this will be, what, the third year in a row where one of these games has come out, which is a little steep when it comes to the mass profit, you know, proliferation annual cycle for games. But look at every game that's made now. Every game that's made now is saturated so heavily that there grows to be a contempt towards it. Be it Assassin's Creed, you know, be it your Call of Duties, your Battlefields, any game where they see a profit market and they're going to pump it out. And if they're not pumping it out, they're probably making a remake of it to help them cover time between the next opportunity to pump it out, because that's just the way it works. But a game that only has as many games as the Soul series has is not my idea of really pumping it out just yet. It's getting kind of like, wow, that, you know, there's a lot of these games now, which is a cool thing, if you like them. But there is a lot. I can understand the criticism coming from the angle of Scholar of the First Sin. Was it just before Dark Souls, just before Bloodborne, or was it just after Bloodborne? I think it was just after Bloodborne. So within, like, 6 months, not only did we have the confirmation that Dark Souls 3, was going to be a thing. Can I just run past you? Of course I can. But we had Bloodborne drop, and then we also had... you might be a problem. Is this wrong? I'm not too sure where I am. Well, now I'm sure where I am. But for a moment there, I didn't know. I had to improvise a little. So in the space of a few months, we had a lot of prospects and Souls goodness, or Souls-esque goodness, and you kind of go, wow, that's kind of steep, that's kind of crazy. If you like them, you're probably rejoicing, like, oh, this is amazing. If you're kind of that person who holds on to the past and holds on to this notion that the more of something, the less of the value of the thing that is there, you're the dude who's kind of like, I don't want it to get too saturated because it'll take away from the goodness of what it was, and if they keep pumping them out, it's going to kind of piss on the memory. Which is all valid points, and I felt that in a lot of ways too. But Dark Souls 3 is the last of the Dark Souls games, if Miyazaki is to be held to his word, and that doesn't mean he will be. Because look at Shinji Mikami. Shinji Mikami said a very long time ago that Resident Evil 4 will only ever be a GameCube exclusive. And if you don't know anything about that game is now on almost every console that's ever existed. There's a fucking Game Boy Color version, I swear to God. And if you don't know why Shinji Mikami left Capcom, there's your answer. Because he swore that it was going to be an exclusive as part of that deal with Nintendo. The reason that game existed is because of the deal that they made. And he put his integrity on that decision and stuck to that decision. And Capcom as a company went over his head, because of course he wasn't the CEO or whatever. And they wanted to get max profit. Why would you not? You're a company that likes money. So they released it on PlayStation 2. And then Shinji Mikami left. And a lot of very influential, very great developers who made some of the games that you love from your childhood went with him. Not all of them ended up in the same place, but a hell of a lot of them did. And it's known as Platinum Games. Shinji's long since left Platinum Games now, but he was there at the founding of it, and he was there for a while as they made Vanquish and maybe a few other titles. So as much as I would love to say that there won't be any more Souls games, Namco Bandai are a developer, they're a publisher, sorry, who really, really like beating a dead horse. And in a lot of ways, it's not a problem, really, if you like the games, because it's cool. But if you would like the games to have a break or not be released so whorishly, then it can kind of become a problem. Look at the... Oh, what are those fucking robot games called? I'm completely blanking on the name of them. But there's a mech game that they make that they've released 1,000 iterations of, and at this moment it's like only the hardcore may apply, because they get more and more obscure and ridiculous as they go. Armored Core, I think they're called. So this is a company that has a history of running these titles into the ground. And I think that's even developed by FromSoft as well, isn't it? So it shows that FromSoft are eager to continue making these games that they like or they want to make. And as somebody who's, you know, not really that side of the gaming ecosystem, to me it's like, what's the fucking point? They're stupid. Why would anybody want to play this? But there's a lot of people who look at Souls games in that very same way, because tastes are different for a reason, you know? But to call the Souls games like Call of Duty, I think is diminishing on two levels. The first is that Call of Duty is a very high quality series, even if you don't like it, doesn't take away from the fact that it's the most lucrative video game outside of maybe, is it League of Legends and all those kind of things. Call of Duty on consoles is pretty much the biggest thing ever. It's not as prolific as it once was, because, you know, they've driven it so far into the earth at this point. But it's still very lucrative, and there's still millions of people buy it. Even though, if you were to look at any comment section or any comment thread on any news article, you would think that nobody likes Call of Duty anymore, that Call of Duty is this inconsequential thing. It's really not. It's just, there's a lot of really outspoken people who talk a lot of shit on the internet, and then still buy the fucking game, and then continue to talk a lot of shit. Which, there's a lot of that, it's just the nature of the beast. But on the second page as well, there's only been 3 Souls games in the Dark Souls series. There has been a Demon Souls game, which is a spiritual predecessor to the Dark Souls franchise, and then there has been a game called Bloodborne, which is a very different take on this series in so many ways that the casual observer would probably not perhaps see the differences and the complexities of where there are differences. But even if you add all those together, that does not make enough games for people to start saying that it's the Call of Duty. So I don't really understand that argument that it's becoming Call of Duty when it hasn't been around long enough. It doesn't have the legacy to be that, because there hasn't been enough games for that to feel the way that feels. It might feel that way to you, but to the people who've played the games, I'm getting fucked here. This is ridiculous. Like, super ridiculous. This is horrible. So I just disagree with this whole consciousness that this is somehow as played out and as old and as weary as Call of Duty, when Call of Duty at this point, what game number are we on? 10, 12, 15? Who fucking knows? There's been tons. There's only been 5 of these games, and that's if you go super anal. You could say 6 if you say Prepare to Die is a different game. But there really hasn't been that many titles, or if you look at it in the right way. And that's not even mentioning that games evolve by having more iterations. You don't get a game that is one game and then a completely different game in the sequel of equal quality or higher quality. You don't have such a stark evolution like that. Evolution's very slow, and games have to go through those ordeals to change and to become, you know, their final transformation, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know why I keep doing that. I keep running into that guy and it's dangerous. Isn't this where the bonfire is? Yeah, it is. Took a different path again. But it all works. You know, you have these incremental stages of development that lead to these big shift-ups, these big zeitgeist moments of singularity where things change and things become completely different and awesome. And that is, to quote Call of Duty, seeing as how this is the reference that it's been, you know, waged against, that's what COD 4 did. Call of Duty 4 took the great concepts of Call of Duty 2, ignored Call of Duty 3, and made an amazing game that changed the gaming landscape for first-person shooters. The only people who probably weren't wowed by COD 4 were the people that were already too deep in Counter-Strike, or random Half-Life 2 mods or whatever. If Half-Life 2 was even out then, I think it was. I'm not much of a dates guy for those games. But suffice to say, PC guys have had great first-person shooting competitive games for a very long time. It's just what PC was. That's why people play on PC, because that's the origins of it. Consoles finally had something that could compete, and it blew the minds off of everybody that touched it, myself included. And it was an amazing game. But it took them 4 games to get there. It took 4 games for that evolution to happen. Because, as I mentioned, it's a slow process of iteration and blood and sweat and tears and passion. And then once they had that formula, that iteration became less and less and less and less and less, and we've got to the point now where they literally change the colour of the fucking game disc and release it. But if you like the mechanics, there's still a wellspring of great mechanics waiting for you to be played with, and a whole bunch of new maps, which is what people want. Because people play that game for competitive shooting. That's what it's designed to do, and it does it very well. But it took it that amount of time to get that great change, and then after that great change, there was quite a depression. Quite a recession of progress, unless you're a massive fan of each of the increments, which there will be something like that. Is that everybody again? We're getting fucking trolled. This is ridiculous. And you could say now it's kind of in this infinite regress of just pumping out the same old shit. But there will still be people who super love the formula and super love the game, because there's always going to be fans of something, because that's what a fan is. It's somebody that likes something more than everyone else. So think about it when it comes to Souls games. There's only really been 4 Souls games. Well, do we count Bloodborne in that? I don't count it as a Souls game, but it's obviously the same formula. And Scholar's a remake, so we'll say there's been 3. There's about to be 4. Dark Souls 3 will be the 4th Souls game, officially, outside of the remakey stuff. We've had Demons, we've had Dark Souls, we've had Dark Souls 2. Now we're getting Dark Souls 3. This series is about to hit the 4th game in its order. The same number of games that it took for COD to take over the world. And I'm not saying that there's going to be any comparability of these things. That's not what I'm saying. In fact, I'm almost certain there won't be any comparable similarities. Right, big lad. But it's the 4th game. So it literally could have that same jump of from this is an awesome series to this is taking over the world. That's what the game could be. I don't know if it will be that, but that's how long it took one series to do it. Maybe that's how long it takes FromSoft to release the Souls game they've always dreamed of making. And to condemn this before it's even out by saying you're already fatigued, when there are games that have done 9, 10, 11, fucking 12 different spin-offs, and you're still buying that shit and eating that up, it just seems amazingly hypocritical. And we're all hypocrites in our own beautiful way. But this argument of this weariness doesn't fly with me at all. Because I love this series, and I've loved this series since I was introduced to it, against my will. And I can't imagine not being excited for another game. Unless that game has Dark Souls 2 in the title, then I wouldn't be excited. But that's beyond the point. But if you look on the internet, there is so much negativity at this point, and as much as I say have trepidations, don't get too overhyped, don't, start reading some of these publications where they're trying to get you super excited for a game that doesn't exist, because they've barely played the game that does exist and they barely know what we did in that game. They're just building up that hype cannon. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what these videos are meant to be. You're probably not going to hear any of this because I didn't realise this was going to take so long. But hype is a good thing as long as you don't let it get to your head. I let it get to my head in Dark Souls 2, and I had this wonderful tinted vision on when I played that game, where I knew something was off, but I was too busy sucking its dick to fully appreciate what it was. And I'm not going to do that to Dark Souls 3. I shouldn't have done it to 2, but I was too deep. I wanted it too much. I was projecting like a motherfucker. And thus my judgment was affected, and it suffered because of that. But even so, look at this shitfest. Dark Souls 2 is a great game. I just think it's a lacking Souls game. And even then, it's still night and day better than a lot of the shit you can get. I can't believe this. I'm so mad at this. I should just fucking edit it. Just edit the save. It'd be quicker to stop right now, edit the fucking save, than it will be to farm this bullshit, because this is how stupid this game is when it comes to farming sometimes. Ridiculous. Okay, 20 minutes of this bullshit. I've got Demon Souls to play in a minute, and I want to play that. I don't want to fucking do this. I want to get the shit I want. Let me get the shit I want. Damn it, I'm entitled. I'm from the internet. There was a meeting. Give me the things. But people, like, there's so many really funny memes and stupid bullshit that's happening right now on the internet. It's kind of joyful in its silliness, but you have to take it with silliness. If you don't, it'll probably break your heart. Like, if you're a fan of Dark Souls, there is this weird insult that's happening at the moment, and it might be an old insult. I've never really seen it, but I noticed it on GameFAQs a ton, and anything people say on GameFAQs, you've got to take with a pinch of salt anyway, because they're usually so far up themselves they could be a fucking suppository. Or, on the flip side, they're so unknowledgeable about what they're talking, they're spewing lies, and you've got to kind of take everything with a filter. But people keep saying this. I forget what the string of words it is. It's something along the lines of, complex quality level design or complex quality boss design, or there's this... It's some kind of spiel that they're taking from a promo slip and they're using it to insult Dark Souls 2. And I saw this thread called, like, I wonder if Dark Souls 3 is going to have the complex and quality level design of Dark Souls 2. And then his thread is some kind of, like, sarcastic joke towards the game, bringing it down. And I saw a few using the same language of whatever this meme is, or whatever this running joke is that everybody seemed to know. And by the end of it, I was laughing, because it's just like, why are people doing this shit? What is this about? And I didn't really understand it. Like, I think in his thread, when he was on about the level design, he said, you go into a windmill on the top of a small hill, and then you come out in a kingdom surrounded by lava after going up an elevator for 20 minutes. Like, some obvious troll opinion of Dark Souls' 2's interconnected level design of time is convoluted because we couldn't make this shit flow correctly. But I saw a bunch of that. I've seen a bunch of people saying, like, your favourite colour is going to be yellow because Dark Souls 3 is super yellow for some reason. This is bullshit. A lot of people asking where the rest of the colours went. You know, just jokes towards the colour scheme. And there's two sides of that all the time. There's the one side that's defending it because they're a fan. There's another one who's defending it because it's thematic. Some people think you can't have a colourful game that's dreary and bleak, which I think is bullshit. Because look at The Last of Us. The Last of Us was one of the bleakest games I've ever played, and they still managed to have colour. You just have to space it out so that it has an effect. I mean, look at some of the vistas in this game. There's a reason people spend time saying beautiful view and gorgeous view and all that other trash. It's because there is so much bleakness and starkness that when you hit those vistas, it feels like you're seeing something special. And that's what they're designed to be. It's a glimmer of beauty in a desolate world. So I'm hoping that Dark Souls 3 is going to have that too. It's just, if you check those forums, it is a running gag. This is obnoxious as fuck. I should really get the Covetous Ring. What else can you do to increase your item find in this game? I've got the Humanity, so that's not going to help. I think that's it, isn't it? I don't think there is clothing on this one that gives you item find. I can't remember. Never thought we'd be doing this though, so I do apologise. Hopefully you're enjoying the rambling. Hopefully you can get joined in with it, or you can discover it for yourself, because there's a lot of stuff. But there's also this mass paranoia. So many people conscious about spoilers. So many people terrified that somebody's going to like leak the fucking ending on their Twitter and stuff. I don't get it at all. To me it seems really silly. Look at that. Can I just drop down here? I don't know where I am. Oh no. Jesus, thank you. Like, even Epic Name Bro. Epic Name Bro's disabled comments on his YouTube videos because he's so scared of being spoiled. He was having a friend screen the comments for him because he wants to be as blind as he possibly can for the game, which I think is a great idea, but I just don't get it, personally. I already know I'm going to get surprised in the game. I already know I'm going to get jacked in the game. It's just the way the games are designed. When it comes to being surprised, it's not something I really have too much of a fondness for. Like, especially when it comes to story. And I know Epic Name Bro is a champion of Dark Souls lore, because he's one of the first people to pioneer that formula. He saw the Quelaag Lady video and then did his own stuff, and those two people were on the frontier forging a path, setting that trail ablaze. But the story is so much of what you make it out to be that how the fuck does it get spoiled? Like, how do you spoil it for yourself? You watch a Vati video, which I can never say that guy's name. It is Vati Video, isn't it? The dude who is really popular on GameFAQs. Like, you watch one of his videos, he tells you what he thinks it is. It's not a fucking spoiler, because it's what he thinks it is. Or, sometimes it's what Reddit thinks it is, if you believe that one. Which I thought was funny. I don't think it's spoiling anything, because it's just one dude's interpretation, you know? Just look at religion. How many people interpret the Bible differently? Doesn't mean they're all right, doesn't mean they're all wrong. You know, they all kind of coexist, and that's kind of what Dark Souls lore is. Without the psychos. You know, it's a bunch of people getting together to share theories and what they think it is, and why they disagree with your idea and why they think it's this. And it's just a bunch of people having fun with vague ideals. And that's what it always should be. So the notion of getting spoiled by the story, unless somebody shows you a picture of Gwyn with a fantastic beard wearing like khakis and sandals, you're not going to get spoiled. Really? Are you? I don't think you are. But he wants nothing to do with the game, so kudos to him for going, you know, so what's he call it now? Going dark. Just having nothing to do with it. 100% getting himself out of there. We're getting fucked here. I'm getting robbed. I'll have 99 white chunks before I get one. I didn't get the slab, did I? I can't remember where the slab is. I think it's... You like drop it. It's down here. This is a white slab. You probably already knew that, though. Not that anybody makes divine weapons, because why the fuck would you? If you're a faith build, you're too busy wogging people to care. Yeah, this is brutal. This is really brutal. But you've got Marcus going dark. You've got the entirety of Reddit and GameFAQs so spoiler fucking obsessed that it's almost totalitarian. And I just don't understand it at all. I mean, I understand it, but I don't understand it, if you get me. I understand why people feel that way, but to me, it is the last thing I care about. I want to see it all. I want to see it all now. And that's why I'm so happy to get the game as early as I'm going to be getting it, because I won't have seen much. Because there won't be that much out unless somebody pirates it, or, I don't know, somebody gets an early Japanese copy. But I found it interesting when I was watching Marcus's video that he turned down an invite to play the game early, and that to me dumbfounded me. I don't get it at all. Once again though, he wants the ultimate new experience. He wants it to be the first time he's clocked eyes on anything, and it's a very admirable thing. But some dude says, "Yo dog, do you want to come and play Dark Souls 3 before it's out?" I'm just happy I didn't have to suck that man's dick. You know, I will do anything to get my hands on the game. Which is why I've paid 60 quid for a version that doesn't share my language. Because these games mean a lot to me. And I think it's going to really add something to that playthrough too. It's going to swap halfway through to English when I buy the 360 version. Because they're obviously going to have a 360 version. It's going to be wonderful. And it's 7 frames a second. But I think the bits in the Japanese version are just going to be so... If it doesn't breed stupid, amazing moments, then I think we've done something wrong. Because a game that is as eclectic and as specific as these games, and then a language barrier, how can that not lead to just horrendously hilarious moments? Where you use an item you shouldn't use, or you do something, or you say something to an NPC that ends up putting you in a really bad spot. I think it's going to be hilarious. It could be dull, I hope it's not, but I just get the feeling it's going to have some sped up sections with silly music on them because of just how preposterous and dumb shit's going to be. Oh, that's what I'm hoping anyway. I'm also looking forward to when I can play the game fluently and I can go on my PS4 and play the Japanese version and everyone's like, "Oh, this guy speaks Japanese." And it's like, no, I don't, I've just memorized the menus. But I look so cool because I'm cultured and shit. Which will probably never happen, but it's a funny dream. Getting totally fucked. If only the babies dropped the masks, that'd be handy. When we get to the end of my Homeward Bones, we're not doing any more of this, because this is dumb as shit. I'm very tempted to trim all of it out or speed it up. I've never had to farm this much for a father mask. But I'm going to be watching so much Dark Souls footage when it comes out, when I'm playing it, because I get so immersed in that game. And I don't get immersed in it in the sense of I stand gazing at the fucking vistas for 20 minutes before moving forward. I just mean the whole that the zeitgeist, you know, everybody together just having a great time and discovering a new game. I love that feeling. I love being part of that, spreading awareness of what is going to be a game that occupies a shit ton of my time. Willingly, too. And just watching all the other people producing content for it. Because I'm going to be watching a ton of different people. Like, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Mitch does. Former Gamefront dude, who goes by the name of Jurassic Rabbit on YouTube. Really looking forward to him covering it, because I like Mitch a lot. He's a nice guy, he's a good player, and he always makes entertaining content when it comes to the games he covers. I'm really looking forward to seeing if James and Morgan from Adventure Bits are going to be delving into it. Believe it or not, those dudes, because of like life obligations and stuff, still haven't finished Bloodborne. They still haven't done that playthrough, or maybe they have, they've just not uploaded it. But I watched a little bit of that, and that is absolutely brutal. Like, I really liked it when James and Mitch used to get together, because Mitch could always be the voice of reason, being like, come on dude, do this is going to help. And because Morgan can't be that, because he doesn't know anything about the game either, and he's learning it too, it's just this combination of bad choices and bad play from inexperienced players. And I don't mean that to insult the guys, because I think they're doing great, you know, in the grand scheme of things. But on YouTube, when you're releasing videos of the same section over and over and over and over and over and over again, it can be very difficult to watch. And I know, because I've had to sit through editing some of my stuff, and I've been like, I can't share this. I literally cannot share this, because it's going to get too boring. But at the beginning, I said I was going to do it, and people have asked me to do it, so I do. And then on the final video, after 5 videos of suffering, there's people that are still there and still enjoying it, and it's just that weird thing of, wow. It's one of those weird things. Some people love it, some people hate it. But their playthrough is really brutal. But it's brutal in an honest way, and I can definitely get behind that. So I'm excited to see what they do with Dark Souls 3. And then I'm going to be watching a fellow TGN man by the name of Rurikan, who... he's an interesting Souls player because he plays it so different to me, but he's experienced, and he's consistent too, which makes it entertaining. You've always got something to watch. So I'm definitely going to be checking out his stuff to see what he does. And then it's probably going to be Darkside Phil. And maybe Big Benedict, because I think Big's going to be covering, so that'll be really interesting to see the shift of a man who's just come off of Dark Souls 1 going into a new game. But by far, Darkside Phil is the guy I am most excited to watch. Because that dude is like a mental breakdown waiting to happen. It's going to be fucking great. And the great news as well, because it's not good news, guys, it's also great news, is I'll have the game on both consoles. So depending on what console he's on, I am going to hunt that man down when he streams. I don't care if it's 5 o'clock in the morning my time, and I'm going to try and get in his world and cause him some havoc. Because, oh, I cannot wait just to see the misery of some of those parts of that game, because, oh, it's too good. And you might be asking, although I hope you don't, who is this Darkside Phil character you talk of? This is a dude who plays video games for a living and somehow manages to make it sound like the dullest, most strenuous task you could ever do. Like, he makes it sound like he's building pyramids for no pay. It's amazing just how tough this man's job is. And then when he does play the games, he has this great tendency of blaming them. And he blames the game for his own mistakes. And I find it hilarious. Some people hate it. Some people really do not like him. They can't stand it. But to me, it has me in tears. It really does. So if I can be that misery for Phil, I think I've done a good deed. But I'm not going to go in there and like fucking scraping spear him or anything like that. I'm going to go in there and fight him. And I'm going to have some fun. And you know, I might get my ass kicked. Doesn't really matter to me. I just want to get in there and fight him because I think it'd be hilarious. Just to see what he does, because just to watch it back, you know, just to be on the other side of it, where he complains about certain things, and you know what he's going to do, because he does it all the time. He's going to say that you're over-leveled, or you're a much higher level than he is. He's going to say that you've played the game a million more hours than he has, and all this stuff. You've got all the overpowered shit, and he's going to say all that, and I'm going to literally go on the lowest level build I can get with modest equipment. That's what I'm going to do. And the great... why do I keep saying this? Why has this become part of my lexicon? This notion of extending sentences by saying, and the great thing is, and the good thing is, I hate it, but I keep doing it. The icing on the cake, let's modify that a little, is that I'm going to have had 18 days extra experience with that game. And by 18 days, guys, there's a chance I might have beat it. There's a chance I might not have, if it's really tricky to navigate in the Japanese version. So I'm going to know quite a lot. And really, really entertain good old Mr. Phil if I can find his world. The problem will be I'll have to buy some PlayStation Plus to do it if he's on PlayStation. And I think he will be, you know. Because I get the feeling it's going to perform better on PS4. And I get the feeling that Phil's going to get it on PlayStation 4. Because he favours that console, because it's the better console. And then he gets free versions of games for the Xbox One, and then goes on to say that they perform better on the Xbox One when they don't, which is very bizarre, but whatever. Those Microsoft paid promotions for the realest gamer on the internet. Yeah, fuck this. This is trash. We've just done this, what, 10 fucking times? What a waste of time. What an absolute stark, bollock naked waste of time. We're gonna go somewhere else. Oh, is this it? Please be it. Fuck you, game. Hang on. There's tons more. They take so long to populate. No. I'm still very disappointed in Dark Souls right now. Very disappointed. But I have Demon Souls to play, and that's what I'm going to do in a moment. Going to crack on Demon Souls. Going to record the first video of that. It's going to be a Demon Strolls. It's not going to be a playthrough. It's just going to be running around Demon Souls, building a new build, having some fun, and showcasing some of the... probably the best Souls game that nobody plays. So we're going to hit this bonfire. We're going to throw some levels into this. And there we go. The legend grows a little bit stronger, and I can't taunt because of the bonfire message.